That is probably the #1 use that people have for a cover stitch machine. I probably wouldn't recommend it. It replaces a twin needle on your regular sewing machine. What would I use it for? Do I need one? Is it worth the investment? Hey friends, and welcome back to Sewing from Scratch. I am Kate, and this is where I teach you everything I know about sewing, and we learn more together along the way. Today's video is all about cover stitch machines. What is a cover stitch machine? i.e., what does it do? What would I use it for? Do I need one? Is it worth the investment? All the things that you need to know about getting a cover stitch machine. I have a similar video to this on overlockers or sergers, and it is continually the #1 video on my channel. In the sense of my own channel, it is viral. So if you have not seen that, I will link it below for you to check out. If you're interested or you don't know what a serger is, check out that video first. So you can think of a cover stitch machine as a hemming machine. That is probably the #1 use that people have for a cover stitch machine, is to hem knit fabrics or knit garments. So the sleeve of a t-shirt or the bottom hem of a t-shirt or the bottom of shorts or pants, that is what the main use for a cover stitch machine is. That being said, again, it's mostly for top stitching. You can also use it obviously for top stitch details. If you're doing color blocking or any sort of seams, you can top stitch them. Basically what it does is it runs 2 or 3 lines of stitching exactly parallel to each other down the top of the garment, or whichever is the top side that you're putting through the machine. So essentially it replaces a twin needle on your regular sewing machine. The back of the stitch has kind of a chain type effect where it's going back and forth, again similar to the twin needle but a little bit more sophisticated. So that means it is not for construction. Typically, we do not use a cover stitch machine for construction. It is not a serger. They are not the same things. I have a video comparing a serger and a cover stitch machine to show you what each of them does. So I will also link that down in the description box if you're interested on what the differences are. So like I said, a cover stitch machine can be either 2 or 3 needle, meaning it will have either spots for 2 or 3 needles to run at the same time, having either 2 or 3 tracks of stitching on the top of the fabric. The reverse looks fairly similar in both of these cases. But my cover stitch machine, and I think most cover stitch machines, actually do a chain stitch as well. So this is when you have 1 thread on the top and 1 on the bottom. If you look at a pair of denim jeans, you will notice that most of the stitching is chain stitched. That means that from the top it looks like regular stitching, but the underside will kind of look like it overlaps with itself, kind of like a chain, or interlocks. And the beauty of that is that it's really easy to take out. And you're probably thinking, why would I use a stitch that's easy to unravel? It's great for basting. So I don't use it. I've actually never used the chain stitch option yet, but it is great for things like jeans, or things like if you want to baste something together first. Maybe you're draping something or you're figuring out your own pattern and you want to baste it together first. This is a great way to do it without having to use bobbin thread, because all the thread comes from the top. And it's just super easy to take out when you need to. Now, if you're still really not sure what this means, look at a ready-to-wear t-shirt that you have in your closet. Look at the hem of the sleeve and the hem of the bottom of the shirt. That's what a cover stitch machine does. When these hems come undone, they've been done on a cover stitch machine. And that's because you can't backstitch on a cover stitch machine. There's no backstitch at all. The way to finish off your seams is actually by manually tying them together. So in ready-to-wear situations, most cases, they don't take the time to do this step. They just run the stitch right over itself and hope that it locks it in for long enough. When you're doing your own version, there's a couple different ways you can do this, but you are going to want to make sure that those threads are tied together so that you don't have to fix a hem that has let down a week, a year, a month from now. And cover stitch machines, they can be frustrating. It can take a serious learning curve. I know it did with mine. Mine goes really fast, and I find that that's probably the biggest challenge with it. There is a speed control on it, so I when I was getting used to it, I definitely went down to the lower speed setting and then just still tried to go slow, but there is a lot of learning to it as well. There are also different attachments and different feet that you can get for your cover stitch machine. I also have a video on this, so I will link that below. But you can do things like binding or adding trims, any piping, you know, like decorative things. You can do that kind of stuff with a cover stitch machine and the special feet or attachments. So if you do a lot of that, then maybe it's worth looking into. But do you need one? Does the average home sewist need one? Probably not. I wouldn't recommend it. If you do a ton of sewing at home and you get really frustrated with the twin needle, or you just always sew knits and your hemming game, you know, you're ready to advance and you have the money to buy one of these, save up the money because it's a big investment. I wouldn't just suggest putting it on a credit card. You want to make sure that you can pay this guy off. But then maybe it is. Maybe it's a luxury, right? That's basically what it is for me. If you have a small shop, then it probably would be a worthwhile investment just to get that more professional finish. That's when I bought mine, was when I was doing small shop selling. I don't do too much of that anymore, and I don't plan to do a whole lot of the knit side of that as much, but I am glad that I have it now just because I do use it. I definitely don't use it near as much as my serger or my sewing machine, so I would say it would be third in line, maybe even fourth in line of machines to buy. But it is definitely a luxury, and if it's something you can afford and you think you will use it and you want one, go for it. I would recommend maybe trying out a friend's first or something, you know, just to get the feel of it and things like that, and see what brand you want. As far as I know, the Baby Lock seems to be kind of the standard in terms of quality and performance. Mine is a FAF. I do have a full video on this machine too, so I will link that below as well. Mine is a combo machine. I have never used the serger portion of it, which I talk more about in that other video as well. You know, if that is something you're looking for, you could look at the combo machines. Again, I probably wouldn't recommend it just because of the switching back and forth. It's not a big deal, but sometimes you need to do that within a project, and then it could get, you know, pretty annoying. And of course, I always recommend trying to find secondhand first. So if it's something you're looking for, put an alert on Kijiji so you can be notified when something comes up. Ask in your local Facebook Marketplace or your garage sale groups. Keep an eye out at thrift stores. Ask your local machine dealer, that kind of thing. Just see if there's something coming in that would work for your purposes and you can get a discount on it. So I hope that answered some questions as to what a cover stitch machine is. Again, if you're still looking for more info, go check out the video on the breakdown of what this machine is, and you can also check out the video where I compare the serger and the cover stitch machine so you can, you know the difference, because a lot of people, I see it a lot in Facebook groups, think that they're the same thing, and they are totally not the same thing at all. They're used for very, very different reasons, and you don't need both, but if you had both, you would know that they are very different. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up so I know to make more content like this. Leave me a comment down below letting me know if you have a cover stitch machine, if you use it, or if you're looking for one, or if you have never had one and you never felt the need to have one. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content. Thanks so much for sticking to the end, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!